And see here I am reading a dot data file. Okay, you can see here. Are you able to see this page?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
See here I am directly giving the link of UCI repository, UCI machine learning repository. You can download and you can give the path link also. That's also fine. So here I am saying iris.data. So file is in .data format. You can read .data file directly by saying pd.read csv, then file pass the path. After you pass the path, you have to give the column names like this. Saying names equal to, then give all the column names. Okay, and these column names you will get from this one only. That is your like in UCI description, attribute information will be there. In that they would have defined all these column names. Okay, if you go to UCI,
Actually, you have given us some tasks, so that's the reason we are checking. And we are saying, like you ask us to, find, look for some five data files from the UCI, and let me know what is a dependent and independent variable.
here here like these are the attributes. It says sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and class. Okay, so that same attribute I have taken. I have given my own names saying sepal length, sepal width, width, and class I have given as target because that's a target variable, that's dependent variable here. So I have given it as target. Like that, I have named the column. So here in dot data file, you will not have the column name. So you have to give the column name by yourself like that. Getting right? This is
Yeah.
how you read it.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay, so you had done that task of dependent and independent, finding out dependent, independent. You are able to get that, or any doubt is there?
Yeah, go. Just can you go to the UCI link? Uh,
Yeah. There only.
yeah, in this like adult, that one, adult data set.
Can you open the adult? Yeah.
Yeah, so can you come down? So in the that house per week is the dependent variable in this.
Hours per peak.
So hours per week. Yeah, yeah,
Hours per week.
yeah, yeah,
That's the yeah.
yeah. That's a dependent.
What
Right.
about capital gain, capital
Oh,
loss?
capital loss. Yes, that's our doubt also.
See here, the thing is we have to data set information. It says prediction task is to determine whether a person makes over 50K a year. So here, the columns are one second. So here, independent variable. Actually, hours per week is independent variable. Native country is independent. Capital loss, capital gain is independent. Relationship, occupation, education, final weight, work class.
What's the dependent here?
Here you have to create your dependent. Actually, all these are independent. Okay, if you open the data set also, you will find out all these are independent variable. So you have to like here you have to find out who is making over 50K a year. Okay, like whether a person makes over 50K a year. So now here that hours per week and all that we have to take, and like capital gain, capital loss is different thing. That hours per week we have to take, and we have to create our own dependent variable saying okay, if it is greater than 50K or if it is less than 50K. So if it is greater than 50K, you will define a category saying 0. If their income is less than 50K, you will define a category as 1, like that. It's a classification problem. Getting?
Okay.
Okay. here you have to create your dependent variable, saying if the person is making greater than 50K, see here it says, right? So it should be greater than 50K or less than equal to 50K. So here prediction task is to determine whether a person makes over 50K a year. So we have two kind of like two things here. Some people might make greater than 50K, some people will not be making greater than 50K. So it will be less than equal to 50K. So two different type of people are there in our data. Okay, so here we have to divide our data, means we have to create a dependent variable saying, okay, this like these guys are making greater than 50K and these guys are making less than 50K. Like
No, but like, sort of what, like how the amount will would be calculated here? Like, what is the
per week is there. Here, like somewhere money will be there. If you open the
okay?
data, okay,
Yeah, we
yeah,
were not able to see actually. That's a
okay. See, if you go to data set, adult.data is there. Okay, once you like you have to read that file. Okay, I'll just read and show you. Here in some column, see here we have already a column already the last one says greater than less than equal to 50K. So what is the last one here? If you look at the last one within your data, okay, these all columns you have to first name, so these all column will be in order. So the last column is okay,
Actually, there is a no last call.
first one is age, it's correct. So next one is work class. Second one is final weight, then education, then marital status, then occupation, then transport, sex, then country. Okay. So last this column you can see, right? They have added one extra column, the last one after country. So here within the attribute information, it says okay, native country is the final one. Okay, but
Hmm.
after native country you have one more. So this is your dependent.
Hmm.
Getting right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
This will be dependent. Okay, so you have to rename all your columns here, and like after that you will find out that one column they have not given in attribute information. That is nothing but this it will be having these two records.
Okay.
So
Okay.
once satisfied, you will get to know by understanding all this column. Like column name will be in order. Like here it says first one is age, so first one is age. Second one is work class. That is second one is work class. Final weight. Like okay, everything will be in order.
So can you go to the wine data set?
Okay. Yeah.
No, some different. There is a two type of wines in there. Second one.
Wine
Actually,
quality. This wine quality.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
this one.
Yes.
So in this, there is an pH is the dependent and alcohol is the dependent. Two variables.
Quality
quality.
here.
Quality is
Quality.
the independent.
Here quality is dependent.
Okay. Yeah, quality
Right.
also.
Quality is the only dependent. Okay, so dependent will always be one.
Mm-hmm.
See, here it says two data sets are included related to red and white Vino Verde wine samples from the north of Portugal. The goal is to model wine quality based on psychochemical test. Physico-chemical test. So now here we have to find out the quality of wine. Okay, so that's nothing. This one, last one is different. Here also they say output variable. They are already saying okay, this is the output. Okay.
Okay, then go to that first wine only. Then actually in the first wine.
Yeah.
I think here that column
Yes.
is missed,
Origin.
quality column.
Here it says using chemical analysis determine the origin of wine, like where it has been origin.
Yes, because three cultivators are there. Okay. I think columns are missing, so we need to read complete file, then only we can say.
Yeah, columns are missing is what he has also told. I had a list of 13 dimensional version. You have to look into the data set, then you'll find out.
Okay, then we will see this thing again, and then we'll ask if some any doubt
Yeah.
comes.
You have
Uh,
to analyze like this by opening the file and reading the column name statement. You did we start discussing about hypothesis testing?
No.
one more doubt Abhay was having about median high, this y axis, right, Abhay?
Yeah, actually, Harsh, can you go to the last lecture where you are just show me that um, empty cars MPG?
Yes, yes, yes.
Y max y, this one in V lines.
Go up. Yeah, in this, like how will decide the what's going to be our Y max? I didn't
Here,
get.
first you just do combine data dot mean. That's all. Okay, don't take y mean y max initially.
Hmm.
Okay, because we don't know what will be
Uh,
y mean y max.
so we need to adjust, right?
Yeah, you need to
Yeah,
adjust after you get
that's what
the
I was
data.
saying.
Yeah, you need to adjust because here we
Adjust
can tell.
adjust means like I'm not getting it.
Just means see here. Suppose I will give 0 and y max is also 0. Okay, I'll just show you. Suppose here y min is 0, y max is 0, everything is 0.
Okay. Okay.
Drainage I'll show you here only this one. So suppose see here y min y max both I have taken 0 means nothing I have taken. Now it says my measure is 0.4, that is my max within my data. Mean is 0.0. So now I say okay, mean is 0.0, max is 0.4. Getting? Now if I
Okay.
say 0.4, then it will plot a line till that. So you have to first see because we don't know how it has normalized. So we cannot get to know earlier prior to that.
Okay.
So now you can see okay, now I got okay 0.4 till that it has to plot below.
So it's like we decide like
Yes.
not it's just not the program decide.
No, no, no. Program will not decide. We have to decide.
Okay, okay, okay.
Any other doubt?
No, no, we can continue.
Yeah. Okay, see, today we are going to start with one of the most important topic here. This is the first topic we are going to see in inferential statistics. Already we discussed two types of statistics, right? What are the two types of statistics?
It's descriptive and inferential.
Yeah, descriptive and inferential statistics. So, descriptive statistics, what does it do?
Descriptors organize the data and focus on the main characteristics of the data.
Yeah, yeah. So it just to summarize, to understand, to present your data in an informative way. That's what descriptive statistics does. So now, like descriptive statistics is all about plotting your data in graphs, getting some more insights out of that, visualizing those graphs, then finding out mean, median, mode, cuteness, and finding out okay how things are changing from one another to to be able to understand your data in a better way and be able to describe it. So that's what is descriptive. So now in descriptive, mean, median, mode, all these things are like the basic things in descriptive. Now comes the inferential part of statistics. Inferential is where you can dig deeper into the data and find out some more information regarding the data set. So now this is like inferring something out of the data, like predicting or figuring out something new out of the data. So now here, like into inferential statistics, the first thing what is there is hypothesis testing. Now, hypothesis testing is a like a very famous thing here, like in statistics, and mostly like hypothesis testing is very important thing in statistics as well as in data science. If you go to machine learning and all, also hypothesis testing is the very important thing to understand. And see this concept you try to understand like properly here. Any small doubt is there, just ask me, because in books and all you might not find it to be that much relevant to understand. So now here, hypothesis. Okay, now what do you mean by hypothesis? Any idea? Like any answer? What is hypothesis? Like in usual way. Okay, what do you mean by hypothesis?
Hypothesis is like predicting the something. Just you're talking about some kind of
Yeah. So so we basically tell okay he or she is hypothetically speaking, right?
hmm,
So hypothetically speaking means they are assuming. So we don't know if it is 100% true or not. So it's just an assumption. So hypothesis is something which is kind of assumption. Okay, like based on certain or somewhere they heard about that and they are saying. Okay, so that's what we call it as hypothetic. Okay, so we don't know if it is real or not. Getting. So now now see in physics, like physics, if you see all the formulas are hypotheses. You know about this, right? In physics, see in physics now every time things changes in physics. Okay, like it's a like most of the study or most of the law whatever is there is just hypothetical in physics. Now to understand, there are so many laws which gets changed like year by year. Okay, like after 2 3 generation one new formula comes up, again somebody proves it to be wrong, again one new formula comes up. So that mostly happens in physics. So most of the laws you will be coming across in physics will be hypothetical. Now to understand, there are a lot of laws also which has been discarded in physics. Like recently Moore's law was also discarded, which was found that it's not true. Okay, now to understand this particular concept, now see actually to take one example of law of gravitation. Okay, now to take law of gravitation, so you know about Newton, right? So Newton formulated the law of gravitation, right?
right.
Okay, so now what, how did Newton came to the conclusion of that law? Okay, now how did Newton conclude that this law of gravitation is there? So what was the evidence for Newton? What was the
An
evidence?
apple,
What was apple? Like
apple.
an apple falling on his head, and he thought, okay, there is a law, okay, and that law he formulated as law of gravitation. Now, the same thing when Einstein came in. So Einstein was also he also proposed the law again, saying, okay, how Newton is saying, how Newton is telling about the law or formulated the law is not the right way. The law of gravitation what Newton has given, okay, might not be correct. Like whatever he has predicted, okay, might not be true. Just an apple falling on the head, and he is saying, okay, this is what is law of gravitation. That's not like that. Law of gravitation is more complex. It's more related to space time. Okay, so that's what Einstein suggested, saying, okay, no, it is more related to space time. Why? Because Einstein's evidence was space. Right, he used to study theory of relativity and other thing, like whatever he has given is mostly with respect to space. So he had some better evidence, and he used to tell, okay, these are some evidence which I had and which are better than what Newton has proposed, just an apple. So he took space time and he again formulated the law. Okay, so you are getting here. So now Einstein also started suggesting one more law, that is nothing but law of gravitation. Getting. So now for Einstein thought that, okay, whatever Newton is saying is not true. That's where he started testing the law again. So now whatever Newton had given, that was the proven law, and that was the currently accepted law for everyone, okay, in that time. So that was called as null hypothesis. So null hypothesis means something which is already accepted, okay, like currently accepted value. So something which is currently accepted is called as null hypothesis. Now hypothesis testing is testing somebody's claim, like whatever claim or whatever suggestion Newton has given, okay, Einstein is testing that. So for him, null hypothesis will be Newton's law. So whatever Newton had proposed, that is null for Einstein. Then Einstein took that and he started studying it again. So that becomes alternate hypothesis, or that is also called as research hypothesis. So Einstein took that law of Newton and he started researching, saying if Newton's law is true or not. So Einstein started studying the Newton law is true or not. So that is what is called as alternate hypothesis, or he was researching the hypothesis, the current hypothesis. So that is also called as research hypothesis. So there are two types of hypothesis: null hypothesis and research hypothesis. Okay, you guys are getting?
Yeah.
Okay, now say hypothesis always this is hypothesis testing always tells you if something is true over the other or not. Okay, so that's what we find out through hypothesis testing. And mostly if you look at physics, okay, most of the things are hypothetic. Now if you see Moore's law was there. You guys know about Moore's law, okay, which was discarded recently. Okay, have you heard of that?
In school days, I heard, but I know I forgot. But this got discarded. This I'm not aware.
Okay. So Moore's law broke down around 2010. Okay, and Moore is nothing but he was an Intel co-founder. Okay, and his name was Gordon Moore. So when he founded this law, so that law is proved to be prophetic. Okay, his law used to tell that, okay, every year, next year, okay, semiconductors are going to be doubled. The speed of semiconductor, the power of semiconductor is going to be doubled, which was found not to be true. Okay, with respect to the trend of semiconductors, which was being created by Intel every year. So they found that, okay, Intel created a semiconductor which was like 10 years down the line. The power was almost 10 years, somewhere near to some 10 years down the line. So his law was discarded, saying, okay, his law doesn't hold true. So that's why Moore's law started breaking down in 2010 only. So now this is how laws are. Okay, now these are all whatever law you see, these laws are not 100% true. Okay, they might change, and they keep on changing with respect to evidence. Now if somebody gets a new evidence, so now we got a new evidence saying, okay, there is a new processor, new semiconductor, which is 10 times faster than what used to be. Like every year it used to be only double the speed of what it is, but now there is almost 10 times the speed of what it is. So we got a new evidence and the law was discarded. So usually like this, when you have some evidence, you check with respect to null hypothesis. If null hypothesis doesn't hold true for the new evidence, then usually the null hypothesis is discarded and you go with alternate hypothesis. Getting right?
Yes.
Okay, so here this is in data science, hypothesis testing is very important. Now this hypothesis testing tells you if something is true or not. Okay, like suppose you understand, okay, like there are certain data and you want to find out if those data are related with one another or not, or if there is any significant relationship between one data like independent variable and dependent variable or not, or is this independent variable important or not. For all this kind of thing, okay, we have to do, we usually do hypothesis testing, okay, for all kind of comparison. Yeah, that is nothing but looking at the significance of values, like how significant is one model over the other, like which model is better, feature is better, which columns are having good relationship, now which samples are having, or are those samples different. Now to find out all this relationship between things or the significance behind things, we do hypothesis testing. Getting?
Yes.
So now suppose suppose if I tell you, okay, like suppose for now we have a null hypothesis. Null hypothesis is written as H naught. It's written as H naught or H0, and alternate hypothesis is written as HA or H1. Okay, alternate hypothesis will always be denoted as HA or H1. So now suppose here I have a null hypothesis for probability. Now to give you an example, suppose when we flip a coin, and when we are flipping a coin, what's the chance of getting head? What's the chance of getting tail?
1/2.
Okay, so it will be 1/2, so that is 50% chance. So we write it as 0.5. So in probability, we write everything between 0 to 1. So we will write it as, okay, 0.5 is the probability. So that's the current chance. So that's the null hypothesis. Getting? So P will be 0.5. Now, whenever you have a null hypothesis in front of you, your alternate should be exactly opposite to null. Like your alternate or your research hypothesis should be exactly opposite to null. So you have to find out that, you have to tell that, okay, no, P is not equal to 0.5. Getting? So that will be our alternate. So alternate has to be exactly opposite than null. Now see what happens. Like suppose I am flipping the coin for 50 times, and I got 40 times head and 10 times tail. What is the probability of getting head here? It becomes now 40 times. Okay, like 40 times out of 50. So now the probability changes. So in this kind of scenario, probability changes. Okay, this is frequentist probability. We will say, okay, it changed. So now the success rate has changed a lot. It's not 50-50%, now it is more chance is there. So we will reject the null hypothesis. So now here, null hypothesis, whatever you have, your alternate should be exactly opposite to null. Getting?
Yeah.
Okay, suppose null hypothesis is P greater than 0.5. What will be alternate?
So alternate should be less than 0.5.
Less than 5. Less than 0.5.
It will be less than equal to. Okay, it will be less than equal to 0.5, because P greater than 0.5 means it should be opposite. Okay, like whatever is not been there in null, we have to take it in alternate. Okay, so it will be P less than equal to 0.5, like that.
Yes.
Okay, so you have to take the opposite one. So now here one more thing is there, like you understood null and alternate, right? So null is currently accepted value for a parameter. Alternate is the claim that we are going to test.
Yeah.
So now there is something called as level of confidence. Now level of confidence will tell you what is the how sure you are to tells you how sure or confident your result is. Okay, like how confident your result is means when you are doing the testing, how confident you are that it's good. Okay, so that's what is called as confidence, level of confidence. So it's given by C equal to, C means confidence, level of confidence equal to 1 minus alpha. So alpha is called as significance level. Now see, confidence value will always be between 0 to 1. So 0 means 0% confident, you are 0% sure about the result. and 1 means 100% confident, you are 100% sure about it. Now that formula is given by 1 minus alpha. So this alpha is significance level. Now see, alpha is very important thing here, and in data science also people lose their job because of this alpha guy. Okay, so now here alpha is called as level of significance. Now alpha is the significance level and is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis given that it is true. So what is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis given that it is true? This is called as alpha. So alpha is given by 1 minus c. See, alpha is something which you have to set. Okay, that is what is that is something which you have to set. So that's where it's a very critical thing. Now suppose I will say alpha equal to 5 0.05. 0.05 means only 5%. If alpha will be 5%, confidence will be 95, right? Getting, so alpha, if alpha is 5% means confidence will be 95. So I will say, okay, if I'm 95% sure, I will reject the null hypothesis. Getting, so you will
So,
how you are.
So it will only work for the null hypothesis or like alternative hypothesis.
Yeah,
So,
both, right. You are rejecting the null means you are going with alternate. If you are not rejecting the null means you are not going with alternate. Both ways, right? See, what's the how confident your result is that you will go with your study. Your study is research or alternate, right? If you are confident enough on your study, then only you will go with your study. Otherwise, you will say null is true. Getting, we cannot reject the null. See here, most important thing is hypothesis testing means we have to test the claim and we have to see if we should go with the claim or if we should not go with the claim. Like, is the claim holds true now or is the claim false? Like that, we have to verify in hypothesis testing. Hypothesis testing is done to check a claim, to test a claim.
but you're saying that see alpha decided by us only, like
Yes.
so like suppose like if suppose mistakenly we define alpha, like some mistake has been done, then result will be for fail, right? So
See how alpha is decided. Alpha is by default, people take alpha as 0.05. That is the default value. Okay, like where you start your study. Like 0.05 means usually we tell in statistics that if we are 95% sure about our study, like about our alternate, then we will reject the null. Otherwise, we will not reject the null. Okay, 95% is the basic one which you set for any kind of statistical analysis. But when it goes to medical analysis, okay, now to take one example, suppose see here, somebody tells you, okay, like there is a medicine, okay, like this same thing we have done in our company also we have done. So I'll give you the same example. So like GlaxoSmith was there, and like GSK, so they are a pharmaceutical company. So now they came up with a medicine. Okay, now they already had a medicine in the market which was very much costly, and they came up with an alternate medicine which was cheap. Now they told us, okay, you test for us if the alternate medicines what we are introducing in the market, if it is very similar to the existing one or it is very different from the existing one, because they have to find out how similar it is to the existing one so that they can launch it in the market. So now there, the significance value, the significance, that is the similarity between the two of the thing, okay, should be almost very similar, like almost near to 100%. Okay, now everything will not be 100%, it should be almost near. So our significance value for doing the hypothesis testing is done to check if something is significant over the other, how similar the things are. For that we do. Okay, so now here we were checking, okay, if this new medicine is very similar or not. So our significance what we took is 0.0005, sorry, 0.0001. That's what we took. So 1 in 1,000 times it should be same. Okay, like it is 0.0001. So it is very minimum value. That means like almost it is 100% near. If it is 100% similar, then only we will say, okay, the new medicine is good. Otherwise we will say new medicine is not good, like that. Getting? So significance level is something which we have to set based on the scenario. By default 0.05 is the one, but once you start studying it might change, but still it's a critical thing which you have to think of a lot while doing a study. Okay, like you have to also do different hypothesis testing and all to see what's the range of significance level you are getting. Okay, that's a very critical thing. People also lose their job because of this significance level if they don't set the right kind of values there. Getting?
Yeah.
But significance level is all about like 0.05. That's the basic. Like mostly that's the basic. You will also find out that okay, like most of the values will lie within the range. Okay, but in some scenario it might differ. We will come across those kind of problems also while practicing practicals. That time you will also understand. Okay, in this kind of scenario, you have to take a decision. You cannot rely on the system alone. Getting right?
Yes.
By
Yes.
Yeah, by default it is 0.05. By default you start with 5%. Okay, see people mostly tell that okay significance is always 5%. That's wrong. It's not always 5%. You start up with 5% on your study, and if you see like it's not near to 5%, it's always 0.001. Your values are confidence is always 999%. Okay, like that your confidence is coming, so your significance might be very small in those kind of scenarios. So you have to again take a decision there, what should be your significance level, by taking some different data set, by taking some different sample. So there are a lot of ways to figure out okay if there is any change. Okay, like it's just some common sense you have to put there, and you have to keep on reapplying these studies to find out okay what might be the cause. Getting?
Yes.
Okay, now see, like any hypothesis testing we do, all the hypothesis testing will be having some kind of equation, like some formula we will use to do the test. Okay, so any test we will do, there are different types of hypothesis testing which are there. So we will use certain kind of formula to test if the hypothesis is true or not. Okay, so for that, all the hypothesis testing, whatever is there, they follow a normal distribution in probability. Okay, now see here, all the equations like these hypothesis testings and all are nothing but these are also based on top of probability. Now whoever has designed the test, whoever has written the test, okay, like different types of tests are there, like t test, f test, z test, okay, chi-square test. So like the different hypothesis testing are there. So whoever has written the test, so they have also mapped it to probability distribution. Okay, they have already mapped their data to probability distribution. So now probability distribution tells you like whatever value you are getting, like after doing the test, you will get some value. So that value, okay, falls like that value has what kind of probability with respect to null distribution. So that's what you will get. So if the probability is very less, okay, so we will compare that probability with our alpha, that is significance level. Okay, so once we compare that with significance level, and if we find that our probability is less than the significance level, means our values are falling at the corner. Okay, now here you can see, suppose this is our probability distribution of our data, okay, with respect to null hypothesis. Now this is our null hypothesis. Now null hypothesis is supportive in this area, that is around the center. It's not supportive in the corner. If something is falling in the corner means probability is less. If something is falling in the center means probability for being true is like high. So suppose I have taken my significance, that is my boundary here, saying alpha equal to 0.05. Now any probability falls less than 0.05, that means they are not supporting the null. Any probability falling more than 0.05 means they are supporting the null. So now here you always check your probability value, this p value, with alpha, and then you decide should you reject the null hypothesis or should you not reject the null hypothesis. So here if p value is less than alpha, then reject. If p value is greater than equal to alpha, then do not reject. So that's what you have to remember. If your p value is less than alpha means your probability for null hypothesis is very less, so we can reject the null. If your p is greater than alpha means your probability for null hypothesis is more. That's where you do not reject. Getting this part?
So, can you explain with us some example?
Yeah, see example, like one example we will practice. Okay, after that you see if you are getting or not. Okay, after we will practice one example now. Okay, now, okay, I will give you one example. Now, suppose here we have to find out. Okay, suppose I have got one data set, and in that data set, like all the values, okay, like all the values whatever we have. Okay, now null hypothesis says that like you have a proper good relationship of all the categories. Suppose we have three categories in our data, like 3-4 categories are there, and suppose null hypothesis says that okay, all these categories are independent of each other, they are like completely different, they are completely unique. That's what null says. Okay, suppose I will say, okay, I want to say, see like different types of fertilizers which we are giving to plants. So are those fertilizers same or different? I want to find out, are those fertilizers which we are giving to plant, okay, is there any similarity or are those fertilizers different? So for that, suppose I will do some hypothesis testing. Now null hypothesis suppose says that each of the fertilizer is different. Okay, so there is nothing same similarity in that, they are all different. Okay, now when we do the test, okay, we will set our significance saying, okay, now whenever you do the test, that test will be with respect to null hypothesis, like whatever value you get, that value will be with respect to null hypothesis. So each of the value will have some probability associated with that, like any value you are getting, that value will be having some kind of probability with respect to null distribution. Like this is called as distribution. Like when you distribute your data in null hypothesis, this is how distribution looks like. So now here these are probability distribution. Now any value you will get out of test, that will have certain kind of p value, that is probability value. Now I will say, okay, like my like if you see the data here, if the probability value is around the center, then we will say, okay, it supports null. If the probability value is around the corner, then we will say it doesn't support null. So like at what corner, that level we will set by significance level here. So now suppose like as we are taking the example of fertilizer. So by default, okay, we will say, okay, like by null hypothesis says that each of the fertilizer is different. They don't have any similarity between them. All the fertilizers are different. So now like I will do a test. I will do like this hypothesis testing, and I will get some value. And with that, I am getting some p value. Now suppose my p value is coming as 0.03. Suppose I am getting a p value of 0.03. Now p value is 0.03, alpha is 0.05. Now as my p value is less than alpha, that means my probability is falling on the very extreme corner. Okay, it's less than alpha. My probability for null is falling at the corner. So now I will say, okay, it's not supporting the null. Okay, it doesn't support the null because it's around the corner. So I will go with alternate. Okay, I will say no, they are not same. Sorry, like they are same. Okay, like null hypothesis says that they are not same. So I will say, okay, now all those fertilizers are same. Okay, whatever null is saying is not true. Getting?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will do a hypothesis testing to understand this. So now got this, if p value less than alpha, then reject null. If p value is greater than equal to alpha, then do not reject the null. If p value less than alpha means probability of values falling within the null is very, very low because they are in the extreme corner. So we will reject the null. If p value greater than alpha, then do not reject the null. Okay, so you guys are getting probability distribution. You guys know what is probability distribution? Or should I tell that? Hello?
Once you tell.
Yes, see, like probability distribution is like a very important thing in probability. Going ahead also, we will see little bit of probability, but just to tell you now, so see, probability is all about measure of uncertainty. It's measure of uncertainty or measure of likelihood of an event or measure of chance, you can say. So here, like we measure, okay, if something is likely to happen or not. So that's what probability tells. Now here, when we get any value in probability, okay, so like here if we have some random values and if we put it within a distribution, that's called as probability. Now distribution, now to understand, suppose there are different types of distribution, categorical, continuous distributions are there. Now suppose I will take one example of categorical distribution. Now suppose I'm going to fight with Undertaker. Okay, suppose I'm going to fight with Undertaker. So, what's the probability of me winning the match with Undertaker? Suppose Undertaker winning over me is 85%, and like I winning over Undertaker is just 15%. Okay, so I have some chance, but it is just 15%. Undertaker chance of winning is 85. So as his chance is 85, mine is 15%. So now if you put those values in probability, we are getting 85 and 15. So this is called as distribution, which tells you the probability of each of the variable, that is me and Undertaker. So similarly, if you take like some continuous data, okay, like suppose market price, okay, suppose onion price. If you take onion price, okay, what's the probability of onion price being increasing or decreasing, those kind of thing. Now suppose yesterday onion price was something, day before yesterday it was something, before that also it was something. Now each of the day the price was changing. So now the probability associated with that will also be changing, okay, every time. Now if I say also, suppose I'm predicting for tomorrow's onion price, I will say okay, with this probability this will be the price. Again it keeps on changing. Now each of the variable, like whatever variables are there, like every day's onion price is having one kind of probability associated with that. So probability distribution tells you the likelihood or probability for each of the variable. Okay, now suppose you predicted, okay, onion price tomorrow is going to be 50, 108 rupees, but it became 110 rupees. So your probability changed to some extent. So like the day before, like day after that also you predicted something, but your probability changed. So now this is probability distribution. Like it tells you the probability of each of the variable. Okay, so each of the random variable. Getting?
Yes.
Okay, so we just distribute it and we see it in graphs. Like mostly probability distribution will be in graphs. Now here, like this all hypothesis testing, like whoever has written those tests, like these are certain equation which you will be using, so you will get some value out of that. Okay, suppose you are doing a test called as t-test. There is a hypothesis test called as t-test. You did that t-test and you got a t value. So you put your values in formula, you got some values, okay, like t value. So that value, whatever you are getting, that also follows distribution, that is probability distribution. Now whoever has designed this test, he already knows if your value is 5, what will be the probability for that. If your value is 6, what will be the probability for that. If your value is 7, what will be the probability for that. So that guy would have already mapped each of the variable with probability, saying okay, if the value is this much, then this is the probability of that. So now they always match, like map the probability with respect to value. So if you had like statistics and all in schools, you might have seen, like we have done, this will be there in your school. So you might have done some kind of test that is called as t test only you would have done, or f test you would have done. Now what happens in exams and all, they give you something called as distribution table. There is something called as distribution table. Suppose in your course t test is there, they will give you a t distribution table, that is nothing but the probability distribution. Now what happens, you did a test, you put your formula, you are getting a value. They will like give you a book, or in the back side of your answer sheet you will have the distribution table. Now like you have to find out the probability value for what you are getting, like whatever value you are getting, you have to find out the probability value. So that is what is like probability distribution, they would have already mapped, like the developer would have already mapped. Getting? So each of the random variable has some kind of probability behind it. That's what like probability distribution says. Getting right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so now here like suppose our data is distributed within probability, okay, and this is the probability of null hypothesis. Now everything we test is with respect to the null hypothesis, like whatever is already there, we test if that is true or not, whatever is already there. Like when Einstein was testing Newton's law was already there. So he was checking if Newton's law holds good or not with respect to the null, or should we go with his test. So is it good or not? Okay, so now here also we do the same thing. So here, if you see, this is suppose a probability distribution. Now here here if you see, like in the corner, like most of the value, like this is a normal distribution kind of thing, probability distribution which follows a normal distribution, like a curve. So now here in the center we will say, okay, this is nothing but most likely observation will be there, so it will support null. But around the corner very unlikely observations will be there, so it will not support the null. So if our p value is coming around the corner, okay, which is less than our alpha value, suppose this is my alpha observed data point, so this is my alpha set. If my p value is less than alpha, so I will reject the null. I will say, okay, now null doesn't hold good because my values are not supporting the null. It's going far from null, so probability is very less with respect to the null, so we will reject the null hypothesis. Getting? So at the corner, if your values are falling, it is unlikely observation. If your values are falling in the center, it's likely observation. Getting? Right?
Yes.
So now we will do a test. So this you guys have to do this test. Now get a pen, paper, and we'll practice this test. Okay, just get a pen, paper, and write down this equation: z equal to x bar minus mu divided by Poisson divided by root of n. Just write down this.
Yeah, done.
Done. So now here we'll be doing a test called as z test or z test. Now this is a statistical hypothesis test in which the z statistic, now this statistical test, like these all tests are called as test, it's called as test statistic, or it's called as z statistic or z test. Now statistic means, what is statistic? What is a statistic?
It's a characteristic of sample.
Yeah, so it's characteristic of sample. So here we are going to test the characteristic of a sample, like whatever data we are picking, what we are going to study is nothing but our sample. So now that's where, like, we call it as, okay, testing the characteristic of sample using some kind of test. So we also call this as test statistic, or we call this as whatever test name is there, z statistic, like that we call. So like that we'll be calling. So now z test is also a hypothesis test in which the z statistics follows a normal distribution. This is called as normal distribution. This is a kind of probability distribution where your value will be properly distributed, like whatever value you have on the positive side will be there on the negative side also, or the lower, whatever you have on the higher side will be same in the lower side. So now z test is a hypothesis test in which z statistics follows a normal distribution. This is best for greater than 30 samples. Suppose you have a lot of samples, this z test is good for that. But usually nowadays for practical scenarios, we don't practice z test, we practice t test, f test, those kind of tests, those we will be looking at. But we will practice this basic test, that is z test. So now here in this test, we have this formula, that is z equal to x bar minus mu divided by Poisson divided by root of n. So now this x bar is nothing but this is called as sample mean. So mean of this sample minus mean of the population. So how my sample average is different from the population divided by standard deviation of the population. This is standard deviation of the population divided by total number of records in the sample. Okay, like total number of, how many total number of records are there in the sample. So this test is used to test the hypothesis. Like if some hypothesis is already there, we will test if the hypothesis is true or not by using this equation. So now just you can note down all these things, saying x bar is sample mean, mu is population mean, the this alpha or Poisson is your standard deviation of population, and root of n is number of elements in the sample or number of records in the sample. Okay, written.
Yes.
Okay, so now here we are going to do a test, and here the example or the experiment is there. So now just try to understand this, and you have to tell me what is the null hypothesis here. So now here it says like blood glucose levels for obese patient have a mean of 100 with a standard deviation of 15. So a researcher thinks that a diet high in raw cornstarch will have a positive effect on blood glucose level. So a sample of 36 patients who have tried the raw cornstarch diet have a mean glucose level of 108. Test the hypothesis that the raw cornstarch had an effect or not. So now here a researcher is thinking that if you give a diet which is high in raw cornstarch, it will have a positive effect on blood glucose level of the patient. So he took 36 patients and he tried he gave them raw cornstarch diet where he found that the mean glucose level was 108. So here we have to test that the raw cornstarch had an effect or not on the patients. Okay. Now here what's the null hypothesis? Okay, what is the claim? What's claim is already there. You have to first find out that. Okay, what's the claim within this statement? So what is the claim here? What is the null hypothesis? Okay, just tell me what is the null hypothesis. Just read it and tell me. Okay, what's the null hypothesis? So what is the claim here? What the doctor is claiming? What the researcher is claiming here? See, researcher claims that, okay, a researcher thinks that a diet high in raw cornstarch will have a positive effect on blood glucose level. So a researcher is claiming that if you give a diet high in raw cornstarch, it will have a positive effect on blood glucose level. So this is our null hypothesis. So alternate hypothesis will be, it will like if you give a diet high in raw cornstarch, will not have a positive effect on the blood glucose level. So we have to see if a diet high in raw cornstarch is given to a patient, is it having a positive effect or not having a positive effect? Getting?
Yes.
Okay, so now you do one thing. This is the formula. Put all the values in the formula and see what Z value you are getting.
3.2 it comes.
Okay, so you are getting 3.2. So now 3.2, if you look at the like that is our test statistic value or Z statistic value or Z value. Now if you look into Z distribution table, now all this has certain kind of distribution table. So now Z test has Z distribution table. Okay, all the test has their own distribution table. So I will just, go to internet and I will take one distribution table and we'll see. So now here I took a distribution table, suppose 3.2. These are all negative ones we have, so we'll take something else. Okay. These are also negative ones. Okay, 1 second. You have to find a distribution table, Z distribution table. First one. Okay, so 3.2 is what we are getting. Okay, now see, this is a standard normal distribution table, and this is for Z test. So now here this says, okay, Z values are this, and what are the probability values? So we have to check the probability value at 0.00. Okay, that is what we check in distribution table. So now here, if you look at 3.2, so what's the probability at 3.2? Here, what's the probability at 3.2? Are you able to see?
0.99931.
Okay, so 0.99931, that's the probability. So now p value you can write down as 0.99993. That's our p value. Okay, 0.99931 you can write down. So that's our p value. So now if we looked at the distribution table, this is what p value we are getting. Now is this p value greater or less than null than your significance? Suppose significance is 0.05 here. Alpha is 0.05. So our p value is 0.9993. So is it greater or less than alpha? Here p is, see here p is greater, right? Hello.
Yes.
So here p is greater than alpha. So should we reject or do not reject the null? See, p greater than alpha means do not reject. P greater than alpha means
Not
do not
reject.
Means we will not reject the null. That means whatever doctor has claimed, we are not going to reject that. So we will tell whatever doctor is saying, like whatever researcher is saying is true. That means if you give a diet high in raw corn starch, it is going to have positive effect on blood glucose level for obese patients. Getting right? Getting, so this is what is your hypothesis testing. Okay, so you figure out you always test a claim if the claim is true or not. So by default claim will be distributed with respect to null in a normal distribution, and if we see and we will be testing if our probability is falling, like probability is supporting the null or it's not supporting the null. If it's not supporting the null, if it's around the corner, so we will say okay, we will reject the null and we will go with alternate hypothesis. If it supports the null, we will say okay, we cannot reject the null, whatever null hypothesis is there is true. So here we will say whatever doctor is saying or researcher is claiming is true, because p is coming to be very, very high. So probability for null is high. Getting right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is how we do our hypothesis testing. Next, we will be doing some practicals on hypothesis testing. Okay, we will do it next class. So we will do tomorrow. Tomorrow we will have the next class.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Okay, we'll work out here.
Sarup, did you provide any document?
It's there, no, in that AI materials I have said.
Book is there. In book is there.
It's there. In book it's there. Also in AI materials also you will find there is something called as this one, practical data science. Okay, so some practical data science book is there. You will find it in that. Practical statistics for data science. That's the book name. Okay, you can look into that book also. These hypothesis testings are there.
Okay. Okay.
So we can